Hi, this is the Anatomy of a Web App lecture from week 2. What I did was I created two repos of a simple web app using JavaScript Express and Python Flask. Each repo demonstrates how to create a simple web app, and I go through the process step by step. Also, for each step, I created a separate branch. So if you want to see what I did in step 1, check out branch number 1. If you want to see step 2, check out branch 2. So to get the repo, you need to do a git clone of the repo URL, then check out the steps. And if you want to actually run that app on your machine, follow the instructions in the README. I'll tell you how to get the app up and running. In this video, I'm going to show the JavaScript Express app because most of there are more people using JavaScript than Python. But the apps, I go through the exact same steps in both apps. Okay, so the first step is I need to check out branch number 1, step number 1. And as you notice, when I changed branches from master to step 1, the number of files decreased because in step 1 I had many less files. For step 1, we're creating the root route and we're going to display a message. At the top of the file, we imported the libraries that we need. And then we have to initialize the app, which means get the app running. And at the very bottom, we need to start the app on a particular port. The part we want to pay attention to is displaying the root route. You need to find the route, and then you need to create a function that will execute some code when someone visits that route. So in this example, we're saying at the root route, so we're going to create a function that will send back a string hi. So this is the Flask version of the root route. So I'm going to start the server, and to do that on the Express app, it's npm run dev, and it's going to go to, tells me server start at port 3000. So when I go to localhost 3000, I see the word hi. And to start the app on the Python app, you would do python app.py and then visit localhost 5000. So let's go to step 2. So in step 2, I added some code so that whenever you change the code in your files, the server will automatically restart. And in order to do that in the Express app, I'm using a library called Gnomon. When it detects a change in your code, it restarts the server. And in the Flask app, I set app debug to true, so whenever you change the code, it restarts the server. So let's check out step number 3. So in step 3, instead of sending back just a string, we're going to send back HTML. And in order to do that, we use templates. So we create a template in the Express. It's in the views folder, and the files end in EJS. In the Flask app, it's in the templates folder, and the files end in HTML. So here's a template of the HTML we want to send back. So if you notice the root route, instead of sending a string, returning a string, now we're going to send back the template. This is the Flask version of rendering a template. So now I'll check out step 4. So in step 4, we're going to demonstrate how to pass data in to the template. So we start off with this variable called workshop users, and it's grabbing data users, and data users is just an array of objects or an array of dictionaries, and it just contains user information. So we define and then we're define a route called users, and we're going to render the template users, and we're going to pass back this array of users to the template. And for now, the template, we're just going to output the entire array of users. This is the Flask version of the users route of passing users to the template. So now if I go to users, you should see a list of users. And right now we're just printing out the array straight to the screen. You wouldn't actually do this in your real application, but this, because no one wants to see this, but you can do it when you're developing, so that make sure you're sending to make sure that the template is getting the data that you're expecting. So now I'm gonna switch to step 5. So in step 5, what we're going to do is turn that array of users into actual HTML list items. And these templated engines provide some way to programmatically create HTML. And they offer some common commands. Many of them offer a way to loop over an array of items. Many offer ability to do if, do this, else do that. Some template engines provide lots of functionalities, and you can write entire functions inside your template. Some provide very little functionality because they want you to put most of your logic in your code and only put a very little bit of logic inside your HTML templates. So you would have to read the docs for your particular templating and engine and figure out what functions they offer. In the demo, I'm using EJS for the Express app and the default Jinja 2 for the Flask app. The templated engines need some special tags so you can use in order to do some programming stuff. And the tags they use can vary from templated engine to templated engine. In this particular one for EJS, it's like the angle brackets and the percent sign. For Flask, they have curly braces and percent sign, but there are other ones that just use 2 curly braces. So, uh, so what lines 8 through 10 do is we have an array of users. We're going to loop through that array of users, and then for each user, we're going to put it inside a list item and create a link for it. And inside the link, we are going to put the user ID, and we're also going to put the username. This is the Flask version of looping over the array of users and creating the list item. So now when we refresh the page, we should see a list of linked users. And in step 6, we're going to show how you can grab information from the URL and use it inside your code. And if you notice ID, there's a symbol around it. So in Express, it's colon ID, and in the Flask, it's angle brackets ID. What that tells the framework is that we're going to pass in any type of string after the word users slash. So in order to access that ID, we have line 32 in the Express app, which grabs the ID from the request params. And in the Flask app, we have we pass in the ID into the function in line 28. And now we're just going to send the ID to the browser. So now when we click on one of the users, we'll go to the users page, and it displays the ID. So whatever we type in the URL will be displayed on the page because our template is set to display whatever's in the URL. So now I'm going to go to step 7. So in step 7, what we want to do is display a user whose ID matches the ID that we pass in through the URL. So we already got the ID from the previous step. So what we need to do is find a target user, and the target user is the user that has the same ID as the ID in the URL. So the target user, I'm gonna filter, and filter is a command that's you pass it an array, and then it's gonna return an item that matches a certain condition. So I'm saying find me return all users with whose ID matches the URL ID. And then we're going to send that target user to the browser. In the Python one, we're using list comprehension, and we're just going to loop here. It's loop over all the workshop users, and if their ID matches the user ID, we're going to return that user. So now we're going to return the user to the browser. So now if we go back to if we go to user ID with the users /1, we're going to return the user data whose ID matches the URL. So if we go to 2, we'll see the results for number 2. And usually the information that we get back from the URL comes in a string, so we need to convert that string into a number. So in order to do that in JavaScript, we're just going to call the number function on the ID, and that will convert this number, the string 2 into a number 2. And in the Flask app, what we can do is when we define our route, we tell it that the user ID is an integer. So when it comes back, so when we pass in user ID into the function, it turns it into an integer. So let's go on to step 8. So in step 8, instead of just outputting the user as an JSON to the browser, we're going to create a template. So we're going to create a user's template, and we're going to pass a user variable into the template, which is happening in line 41 in the Express app, and in the Python app that is happening in line 32. So the user template, all we're doing is outputting the username and the user ID. This is the Flask version of the user template. So we're just displaying the name and the ID. Step 8, now we're going to show the results in the template. So if you change it, you'll see the change. So let's go to step 9. And step 9, we're going to display a list of teams. So in the data file, we added an array of teams, and we also added a team ID to each user, which references which team each user belongs to. And then we also created a Teams route, and we're going to render a Teams template and send the Teams variable to that template. So let's open the template, the Teams template. It's going to look a lot like the users one, where we have a Teams array. We're going to loop over every item in the Teams array, and for each team, we're going to just put it inside a list item tag. This is the Flask version of setting up a Teams route and passing the teams to the Teams template. And we're looping over the teams and displaying the name. Go to the Teams page. We'll see a list of teams. And in step 10, where we want to show the users who belong to each team. So in order to find the users that belong to each team, what we're going to do is use the map and filter function. So the map and filter functions are functions built into JavaScript. They loop over the items in an array and do something. In the map function, you loop over each item in an array, you do something, and then to each item, and then you create a new array with the new items. The filter function loops over an array, and it creates a new array of with items that match a certain condition. So what line 57 is I'm going to loop over all the teams, and I'm going to call the function get team members for each team in the array. So what the function get team members does is that when you pass in a team, it will find all the users that belong to that team. So what line 50 through 52 is doing is that it is looping over all the users, and it's returning the users whose team ID matches the team ID that I passed in. And then now that I have the list of team members, I'm going to return an object that has the name of the team ID, and all the users in that team. And the code in Python is I'm using list comprehension, where I am, for each team in the workshop team, I'm going to call the function get teams. And the get teams function, I'm going to loop over all the users, and if the user team ID matches the team's ID I passed in, I'm going to put that user in a new array, and those are the team members. And then I'm going to return a dictionary with the team name, the team ID, and the team members for that team. So now when I go to the Teams page, I will see a list of the teams and the users that belong to that team. I have a Chrome extension installed that will make the JSON prettier, so you see something like this. So it's easier to see. Here's my team number 1, and it has the name, the ID, and the users, and team number 2 is the name, ID, and users. And don't worry too much if you don't understand this block of code that puts the users inside of a team. The only reason I need to do this is because I've hard-coded data that are related to each other. As you can see here, the users are related to the teams through the team ID. The final page, I wanted to show the team name with the list of users underneath. If instead of showing just the JSON of the team's data, I want to show the HTML. So in the teams, now in the teams view, I added a second loop here, which now that I put the users onto the team, I can loop over all the users and then create a list item with a link for that user. And this is the Flask version of looping over the users and displaying the link. When we refresh the page, we should see the name of the team and the name of the users for each team. And then when we click on the users, we'll go to the users page.